This is the Phoenix mind, where the fire refines, break the chains and rise to shine. Rise stronger, lead with heart, every end a brand new start. With Lisa Manzo, we transform, we ignite. This is a Phoenix mind.
Hi, welcome to the Phoenix Mind podcast. I'm Lisa Manzo. This is where we talk about the real talk, the messy, the meaningful, the transformational, the rise from the ashes moment where you lead with emotional intelligence and become the new you. Today, my special guest is Tammy Porter, and I'm going to read you her bio so I don't miss a thing. Tammy is an astrologer and active member of the recovery community in Las Vegas, Nevada. She is passionate about unlocking the ancient wisdom of the stars and planets to assist individuals in their self-discovery journey, utilizing shadow work and archetypal themes through astrology. Tammy guides people in uncovering their hidden talents, understanding life challenges, and identifying their purpose. Tammy studies Carl Jung and practices shadow work. In her recovery community, she sponsors several young women in Alcoholics Anonymous, supporting them on their path to recovery. She resides in Henderson, Nevada, with her son and her dog. Welcome, Tammy.
Thank you. I appreciate you reading that. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so glad you're here. And on the podcast, we talk about our moments where we rose from the ashes and things we've overcome and tools we've utilized, whether we figured them out ourselves, whether somebody's helped us along the way. So I'm so excited to hear your story because I know your story will resonate with some of my audience and you will help them. And that's the whole point here. So tell me some of your story and how you got to where you are today.
Okay, well, where do we start? So,
Start in childhood, but give us a short version.
well, I grew up in Vegas and I grew up on the east side, near Boulder Highway in Tropicana. And anyone who's familiar with Vegas,
Wait, so for the people that aren't familiar with Vegas, tell them what that means.
yes, that is a very, very crazy. How do you describe East Side Las Vegas? I guess it would be like a ghetto in Las Vegas. And definitely rampant crime. Well, just rampant crime and poverty, you know. And there was a lot of good too, and just like there is in every ghetto, where you just meet the most dynamic people and strong people too. And yeah, I grew up having to learn street smarts at a young age. And I got into drinking and drugs at a young age. And I had a very tumultuous childhood, and my alcoholism kicked off early in life. And it was is it's this is funny because I'm having a hard time putting it into words exactly because we're being recorded. So let me just regroup.
Okay, we can do that.
And a big part of my story that I want to talk about is being highly sensitive. I have 2 books on it, 4 Gifts of the Highly Sensitive and The Highly Sensitive Person by Elaine Aron. Highly recommend this book. Highly sensitive people have a nervous system that is more acute. And so usually the 5 senses that people have are more intense or acute. So a better sense of smell, good vision, very, very clear hearing, sensitive to allergies, sensitive to touch. But more than that, there's a higher trigger for fight or flight in highly sensitive people. So they're always watching. They're watching to check for danger. And this leaves their nervous system highly aroused. So when you're a highly sensitive person, you're highly aroused in your nervous system most of the time. And this can be an uncomfortable place. When your nervous system is highly aroused, that's where all the stress starts happening and stress markers on your body. And when you stay highly aroused for too long, that's when you'll crash and go into depression. So I was going through a lot of ups and downs my entire life, and I used chemicals to change the way that I felt so that I could feel some sort of equilibrium. And I became addicted to alcohol. And to be honest, I loved drinking. It felt like medicine, it felt like the cure. I like to churn up, I like to party, and I also really like to relax. And alcohol was that for me. And unfortunately, it took me down some dark paths, you know? They call alcohol spirits, liquor store and spirits, liquor and spirits. And the spirit of liquor, when it was inside me, changed my personality fundamentally, as it does to some people. And I knew that I had to quit drinking. But when I quit drinking, it was so difficult to be sober inside of my own head, to not have a chemical to soften the blow of reality. All my five senses are working overtime. I'm over aroused. I am getting all of these stressors, fight or flight, fight or flight. I'm having anxiety attacks. And after anxiety attacks, I would crash and go into depression. Made it really, really hard to function and to keep a job. Um, I had alcoholism too, and the root of alcoholism is a thinking disease. And my thinking,
What does that mean for the audience that doesn't know it's a thinking disease?
well, if you take an alcoholic and you take their liquor away, they're not no longer an alcoholic. Um, it's not the absence or presence of liquor that makes an alcoholic, it's the thinking that makes an alcoholic. And the thinking of an alcoholic is different than what is the norm. And this is written in the big book of AA, but basically it's a feeling called restless, irritable, and discontent. And that's just the best way I've ever heard described what was wrong with me. Because what was wrong with me felt so, so uncomfortable. And I wanted to heal it. I wanted to heal, and I wanted to describe it to the doctor and the psychiatrist that I went to. And really, the best way I've ever heard it described was restless, irritable, and discontent. And it's a feeling that is extremely difficult to live with, especially when you know that alcohol will change that feeling. And I, you know, when I was trying to heal the restless, irritable, and discontent, I went down all sorts of different healing journeys. I hired a life coach, I hired a holistic healer, I hired a yogi from India. I did plant medicine with a shaman. I've been to through a sweat lodge. I've done all these modalities of healing, trying to repair and fix what made it impossible for me to be comfortable in my own skin. But really, for me, the one treatment that worked is the 12 steps of AA. And that's where I'm sorry, I think I should say 12-step program. And that's where in the 12-step program, I received the tools that I needed to treat the restless, irritable, and discontent. And that is a foundational part of my life. But what's beautiful is that the healing journey I went down, um, and all the different modalities all had a very positive impact on my life. And, you know, it still comes up sometimes, the feeling of being restless, irritable, and discontent. And when it comes up, I honestly, I sit with the feeling and I thank it. I thank that energy because that energy has driven me in my life towards meditation, towards spiritual awakening, towards being of service to others, towards connecting to a group. All of these things that I have done have made me a better person. And so the energy itself of alcoholism, of restless, irritable, and discontent has really been a gift to me in disguise because it has put me on my healing journey. And now I'm able to help other women who struggle with the same thing.
That's so great. So what's on the other side in the 12-step program? What are the 3 words? So you have 3 words for, restless, irritable, and discontent. What's on the other side? What are the 3 words that they talk about?
Serenity is
Yeah.
is a big one.
Joy is one of them. There's
Yeah.
another word. There's 3 words they string together for the life of me. It's not coming to me. When it does come to me, I'll just say it. But I know there's 3 words they use for the other side of getting sober, and it'll come to me. So it's great that you're helping other people. So I've not drank in 7 years, and I went through a 12-step program as well. And it was very interesting about service, right? Because you to be of service to others and help others. And when I went through, I had a sponsor and she says, I want you to be of service at a meeting. And looked at her and I said, you know what? I need to be of service at home first because I wasn't for so long as a parent. I want to be of service to my family first, something that I was lacking in during my journey. And she looked at me, she said, no, you have to be of service to others. And I'm like, who says? I need to help my children and my family because I was absent from their life and I want to check back in. I want to be of service to them. So what I did was I was of service to them, and then I was of service to other people. And I love being of service to other people because I celebrate because it gives the people behind me hope. Is that how you feel about it?
Yes, yes, it does. I love to be of service to as many people as possible personally. It's so rewarding for me to feel like I have purpose. And I think it is important though to take care of your children first and to take care of yourself first. Because even though I'm treating my alcoholism, I'm still highly sensitive. And part of being highly sensitive is getting overstimulated very easily. And so my biggest issue is trying to balance out work, raising my son, plus service work to others, plus my own recovery, plus everything else that life has in the mix. And
Yeah.
so, yeah,
Yeah.
having balance in that area is of the utmost importance. I agree.
That Yeah, that's so great. And so on your emotional journey, so you became aware of your emotions and you learned to regulate them. And I'm going to give a prime example. When we started the podcast, right? You said I need a moment. And you did this. Close your eyes for a second. You breathe, whatever you did in your head, and you gave yourself a moment. And that was such a beautiful tool. And my audience, I just want you to know you can do that as well. You can put your hands together, close your eyes, take your breath, and know that everything's going to be okay. So what did you tell yourself in that moment?
I just came back to center. I try to clear my mind. For me, it's a lot of chatter all of the time, and I'm learning through meditation that to have an empty vessel is to be of more value because you have space, and space creates value in objects and in rooms and in a house. Space is one of the most valuable things, and in my own mind, space is so valuable. And I get overwhelmed easily when I have too many thoughts going through my head. And so I try to empty. and allow my instincts to channel through, or maybe my spirit guides, or maybe even my higher power. I welcome all of it to channel through, because that's going to resonate and be more helpful than what my thinking mind has.
That's wonderful. And then you said in your bio it talks about Carl Jung. So what did you learn? What are some things that you learned from Carl Jung that's from your study that's helped you on your journey through life and being emotionally aware and present in your body and in your mind?
Carl Jung, he developed shadow work, and shadow work is visiting the dark places in your mind, your instincts, your desires that you repress, that you are ashamed of, that you do not show to the public. And instead of rejecting it, loving it, understanding it, bringing it in and incorporating it into the whole, not letting it in the driver's seat though. See, I have a very powerful shadow side. I like to get drunk and party, and I like to party hard, and I like to do things that I would not do sober, because I am working in my consciousness. I am working with my higher self. I'm working with awareness. But when I turned that awareness off with alcohol, my shadow side would drive the car, and my shadow side was severely hurting me and other people. Um, and so now when I do shadow work, I pay attention to these urges that I have, right? Like urges of inappropriate sexual urges, inappropriate behavior, anger, resentment, like different things. And instead of feeling shame, and instead of reprimanding myself, like, oh, why would you have that thought? I say, okay, that was an interesting thought. All right. I know that I am made of very complicated things. I'm going to bring this in and I'm going to love it. And I'm going to say, I'm sorry you feel that way. And we're not going to do what you want to do, but you're welcome here because you're part of me. And I bring it in and I incorporate it. And that has been life-changing, because I used to live in so much shame and self-recrimination, and self-recrimination is not helpful. It's not helpful to anybody. It's different than having a moral compass. It's when you haven't even done anything, or you made a mistake that was innocent and you beat yourself up over it. And then, okay, let's say you did something really bad and you knew you did it and it was bad. That's where forgiveness comes in. Everything is forgivable. Everybody changes. Everybody goes through certain stages. Um, and so like ultimate forgiveness, and for me, trying to make amends when I hurt others too. Making amends, doing what I can to make it right, and then letting it go and letting myself go of the karma and the burden that's attached to it.
You know, that's really interesting. I've read Brene Brown. Have you heard of her?
I love Brene Brown.
So she says, and I love this in one of her books that I read. I've read so many of them, so I'm not sure which book this came out of. But she said, you know, when something happens like that, I think it was a book about shame. It always says like, you know, I did a bad thing. I'm not bad. Like my behavior was not correct. So you don't own it as your physical characteristic. You made a mistake. You did a bad thing, and you can let it go. It's kind of like an easy way to forgive yourself. What do you think about that?
Wow, that is a perfect example and wonderful. Thank you. That's really good.
It was like I was listening to one of her talks, and she was telling a story about her child, and the teacher said to her child, oh, I don't know what her I don't remember her child's name, said, you're messy. And the child was trying to, I may be making a mess, but I'm not messy. And I think that's so, you know, it's a great differentiating factor, because those I am statements are really self-fulfilling prophecies, shall we say. And I'm very careful with the words that I speak to myself and speak out loud. And, this is a learning experience, as I've not always been on this journey of self-discovery. And now I know that it's okay for me to rephrase. It's okay to say, hey, look, can I say that better? Or how can I say that better? Or ask somebody, like, when I hear people talking bad about themselves at work, I'm like, can you say that another way? Because I don't want to correct them. I said, is there a better way to say that? Because, I know that you're not stupid and you just said you were, and I know you're not. So can you say that a better way? And then they look at me. Sometimes they rephrase it. And then sometimes they still look at me and I say, can you just say you made a mistake?
I
Oops,
love I love that. And you've done that with me.
right.
Actually, I would say you have helped me in wording carefully more than any other human on this earth. And I appreciate you immensely.
Words matter because words become actions. Actions become, there's a quote, thoughts become words. Words become actions. Actions become behavior. Behavior becomes habits. It's something like that.
Hmm.
So I'm very careful with how I speak to myself. And, it's a work in progress because I'm human and it's okay to do that and to fix it and say, hey, this is a learning experience, because that's what I feel like. Life is just a learning experience. And okay, so if I don't do that again, it's a success, even if I made a mistake.
And our words can help reflect what's going on in our unconscious. And like Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. So our words are coming out of our unconscious, and when you really listen to them and when you're really hearing yourself and when you're directing it, you're working on your unconscious. It's a form of shadow work.
Oh, that's so interesting. I was like, I haven't really read a lot about Carl Jung. I know who he is. I've heard of him. I have a sociology degree. I'm sure I learned something somewhere along the way, and that's just escaping me at this time. And it's so great because people put out things and words matter. So the sign behind me on the wall, the blue sign, it says, every day and every way I'm getting better and better. And Emil Coué said that back in the 1800s. And could you imagine we're in the 2000s and people are still talking about him? And he made such a difference because I am getting better every day in every way, because that's my plan, because I set my intention. Look at who talks about intentions. As a gentleman, a very famous gentleman, who tied the book, The Power of Intention, and just
Mhm.
decide what you want and intend for it to happen and just visualize it. I used to think visualization was crazy and there was nothing to it. And the more I do it and the more I learn about it, I feel it's a very powerful tool in my life. Do you do any visualizations? You
Absolutely. Absolutely. I clean houses and I run a house cleaning business, and I visualize myself getting the house really clean before I even start. And that motivates me and it helps me, it just helps me get it done. But what do you visualize?
so I visualize my life as it is now with, I'm very joyful. People appreciate me and I appreciate other people. I've learned that what I want for myself, I have to give to others first, and then it comes back tenfold.
Yes. Yes.
It really does. And I was like, I always wanted to be appreciated and I felt I was always undervalued. And then somebody had to, said projection is perception. Maybe you're not appreciating other people, and that's why you're not getting it back, because you're not appreciating anybody else. And I'm like, oh, that's an interesting thought, let me give it some thought. And I said, they're probably right. So then I started with the gratitude, thanking anybody when they help me. Like when I leave work, because I'm a nurse, I thank when the CNAs say goodbye, most of the time they do, I say thank you for your help today, because I couldn't do it without them. I could not do my job without them, and they're awesome. You
That's
can say
beautiful.
people say nurses are awesome. Let me tell you, the CNAs are awesome, and I couldn't do my job without them. And I make sure I go out of my way to treat them very well and do things for them to make their life easier because they make my life easier. And I want to, and so now that, so back to the visualization. So I started appreciating other people and my whole life shifted. People started appreciating me. They started to be nice to me. Last year for Christmas, I got a couple of gifts from a couple of people that I totally would never ever have expected a gift from ever. They were one of the CNAs is in school to be a nurse. So every time, whenever she's working, if I'm going to do something that I know she's never seen before or that's unusual for our facility, I'll go get her. I'm like, hey, do you want to see how to do this? And I'll teach her and I'll show her. The first time I show them, the second time I guide them, and the third time I watch them do it, right? So, and so, she just finished nursing school. I'm so excited for her. She just has to take her test and she'll be great. And so I told her, so she brought me a present just because I was teaching her, and I was just teaching her because I wanted her to have a different experience than I had when I was in nursing school. I had a great experience, except I didn't get to do a lot and I didn't get to see a lot just because of the way the clinicals worked. And because she was there in our facility, she's working as a CNA, I could still show her. I know she's in nursing school. She doesn't get to, and she's working as a NAP, which is a nurse apprentice. So that's what allows her to be able to do the stuff. So she gave me a present. And then one of the CNAs want me a present for Christmas too. And I'm like, well, isn't this so nice? And, I was able to receive that without feeling obligated to give something back because these were two people I didn't expect anything from, and they gave me something. So if I give something back, I'm taking away their joy because that brought them joy. They wanted to thank me for whatever I did for them last year. And so that's a whole shift for me, right? The old me would have felt the need to return the favor.
I just love learning from you. I
Yeah.
love that. And yeah, learning how to receive is such a flex, and it's so good for you and for the people around you when you can learn how to receive, because it does feel better to give than it feels to receive. We all wish we could give more. And receiving sometimes comes with a little guilt or a little, should I do this or should I? We want to reciprocate. But when you can learn to receive without having to reciprocate, you create blessings.
Absolutely. So in childhood, it was like I didn't know how to receive because people were always taking from me and not
Mm.
giving. So I had to teach myself how to receive. And I was at this personal development event, and the person on the stage was talking about the fact that people who don't know how to receive is when they get a compliment, they can't even receive the compliment. So here, let me say, like, if you were to say to me, "Oh, Lisa, I love your glasses," right? And the old me who wouldn't have been able to receive, oh, these they were like they were from the dollar store. They're not, but I'm just saying, I would minimize what it was and just instead of just saying thank you. Right. So now if somebody compliments me, I say, oh, thanks. And just keep going. This way I can receive it. And I help people to receive as well. Like when I'll tell somebody if they help me out at work, right? I'm like, oh my God, you're awesome. And then they look at me and then they start to talk. I'm like, no, 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 just receive that. That's fine. We can just leave it as you're awesome and we're good because I want you just to receive the goodness that I'm trying to give you.
Excellent.
And it's so much fun because like it's just so much fun. And I catch myself sometimes not being able to receive, because it's a work in progress. Like life is a work in progress. Did you have to shift and learn to receive?
Definitely. And I went through a season of my life where I had no choice. And it took me a long time to get good at it. When I say get good at it, like to receive gracefully and with energy exchange, not physical exchange, but energy exchange. Like, thank you. I'm going to be grateful and to be helped. And that's what the person who was giving to me wanted. They wanted to help me and they wanted to see me be blessed from it, So just to receive the blessing and allow it to bless me. And it was hard at first. It was difficult. Some
Mhm.
things were really big. Like I was in a tough pickle, and my friend bought me a lawyer, and she lent me $10,000 to get a lawyer. And that was really hard to receive, really hard. And I was terrified that I wasn't going to be able to pay her back. I was terrified that it would mess up our friendship. But you know what? Everything worked out. It was a great lawyer. I got my money. I was able to pay her back, and our friendship is stronger than ever. So it was beautiful.
Isn't that so beautiful? And then you'll find that help comes from the strangest places that you never expected to come from, right? You'll
Oh,
get,
absolutely.
yeah, it's like it's just boggles my mind. So I just have another question, two more questions, because we're almost to the end of our 30 minutes. We go
Okay.
on 30 minutes. So what's one piece of advice, and you can repeat something you've already said, to help people with their emotions and self-regulating them so that they can calm their nervous system and move forward because and get a different result. Something you either something new you'd like to share, something you've already shared.
Emotions are energy, and energy runs the world. So your emotions are power sources. Some of them will are more difficult to work with than others. But even anger can be a positive power source when it creates change in your life. If you're angry over a situation that needs to change, it can give you the energy you need to change. Sadness, I think, is an important emotion to give time and attention to. And sadness teaches us how to rest. Um, there's the emotion of stress and fear are probably the least helpful emotions. And sometimes what I have to do with stress and fear is I say, thank you. Thank you for warning me that there's danger. And I know you're afraid right now, but we're still going to be okay. And we're still going to move forward. So you could just sit here with me, fear, as long as you need to sit with me. But I want you to know that you are not in danger and we are okay, and we're not going to react out of fear right now.
Awesome. And so if somebody wants to get in touch with you, have their astrology chart read, how could they do that?
If they look me up on Facebook under Tammy Porter in Las Vegas, Nevada, that would be amazing. Yeah, message me, friend request me.
Awesome. Well, that's it for our episode. This is Lisa Manzo with the Phoenix Mind Podcast, where we talk through the real talk, the meaningful, the messy, the rise from the ashes moments through emotional intelligence. And I'll see you on the next episode.
Bye.
This is the Phoenix Mind, where the fire refines. Together we rise, transform our lives.